It has been 2 months since MITC had been following matters regarding the proposed golf course at the Botanical Gardens. We received an alert when the Ministry of Agriculture workers stationed at the Botanical Gardens were hurriedly asked to vacate the area and to find a workstation at the former DBMC building in the Portersville area. The rushed eviction of the MOA employees happened when the Chinese contractors arrived at the Botanical Gardens to do their pre-construction surveys. The usual DLP apologists are out there denying that the government sold out the Botanical Gardens to a secret developer, but the information we received a few months ago suggests that part of the gardens was apportioned off to that secret developer, and the area mapped out for the golf course starts from the agricultural station facilities going south towards the foot of Morne Bruce Hill. The frontal area north of the agricultural facilities will remain for public access. We were also informed that construction of the golf course is scheduled to begin in April of 2024. Our question is, who is this secret developer? Within the last 23 years of the Scarrett Party rule, the people of Dominica have become used to the idea that developers and investors are either those who come empty-handed and looking for a passport-selling gig, or those with Dominica passport-selling gigs and looking to launder monies already made from the sale of the people's passports through the construction of white elephants, typically hotels and eco-resorts. So we are asking PM Scarrett, was the Botanical Gardens apportioned off to the only investor and seemingly CEO of the government of Dominica for the last 8 years, Anthony Hayden? Is agriculture still a priority? The shameful disregard for the preservation and maintenance of the only formatted green space within the city is worth the public indignation. However, before we tee off, we should also focus on the callous dismissal of the only agriculture research and development facility on the island. Less than a year ago, the government announced that agriculture would be front and center of its new development goal. They declare that by 2030, agriculture would be contributing over $700 million to our annual GDP. As we often say, the words and promises of Roosevelt Scarrett and his administration is as reliable as a single ply of toilet paper. It appears that in the plan to build the golf course at the Botanical Gardens, there are no provisions to relocate and upgrade the only agricultural scientific research and development facility which is located at the Botanical Gardens. No plans are in place to refurbish or replace the existing laboratory equipment which had not been duly maintained for years. So when Scarrett issues a public statement denying that there were no plans to violate the Botanical Gardens, or when Melissa Popone Scarrett stands up in Parliament babbling about mini golf course, billiards, and proudly declaring that the Rosau Enhancement Project already come, we need to be better than the Joseph Isaac-led DLP parliamentary clappers. We can laugh at the sauce's wife Jan Sort, but seriously, with the power that we have as the people, we must now let these clowns know that the clown show is over. Not only is there no interest in the maintenance and development of the agricultural research and development facility, the casual workers at all the existing agricultural stations, to include those at the Botanical Gardens, recently received letters informing them that their engagement with the government will only be for 6 months, beginning July through January 31st. According to reliable sources within the ranks of the DLP, come January, these people will be out of a job. From all indication, the government intends to privatize plant propagation, putting the supply of planting material in the hands of DLP friends and private Chinese enterprises. In fact, there is a plan in motion whereby the government has given a crony a contract to import citrus and some exotic plants all the way from Israel. We reported on the 1-mile area agricultural zone that was handed to the Chinese. From what we have seen thus far, the Chinese-built laboratory and tissue culture is a private venture with a lab located within a Chinese residential complex surrounded by guard dogs. The decimation of the agricultural stations and the plant propagation program on the island has been going on for years, so much so that today DEXIA can barely find the bare minimum quantity of agricultural produce for export. Talks of placing a propagation station in the Salisbury area, the zenith for agriculture in Dominica, quickly turned into the Salisbury people's political inclination. It has been 5 months since the current Minister for Agriculture, a trained agronomist, Roland Royer, announced that his government had invested $4 million into the rehabilitation of the disgraceful coffee plant in Portsmouth. He further disclosed that technical equipment was scheduled to arrive in April, and technical professionals will be hired to commission the coffee plant and train the local residents in the Portsmouth area. The minister also said that once there is adequate coffee on island, the plan is to start branding and shipping Dominica's coffee by the end of 2023. Since the minister's statement in March of this year, no work has been done on the coffee factory. No equipment has arrived in Dominica for the rehabilitation of the coffee factory. Very importantly and regrettably, coffee farming still remains irrelevant to the government and the Ministry of Agriculture. We have no doubt that the rookie minister and trained agronomist Roland Royer mean well. However, he should be smart enough to realize that he is currently MOA number 9 under the Roosevelt-Skerritt administration, and MOA number 5 since the construction of the moribund coffee factory 12 years ago. My advice to the rookie Roland Royer is that swimming against the current and surrounded by scum in the water is exhausting, and like others before him who have been adopted by the cult leader, it is easier to become a dead fish and allow the current of incompetence, corruption, and deception to carry him downstream. The coffee factory was a gift from the deceased Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. Though plagued by money laundering between Venezuelan and Dominica government officials, material pilfering by DLP executives, the structure was built and equipment installed. However, due to the incompetence and disingenuity of the Skerritt administration, not a grain of coffee was processed. The facility eventually became a grazing ground and shelter for farm animals, and recently a construction storage site for the Chinese construction in the 1 Mile area. We know for sure that instead of keeping the young Minister of Agriculture focused on manning his agricultural station, SOS PM Skerritt craftily selected Mr. Roland Royer to represent Dominica in the UK on the condemnatory matters relating to the integrity of the CBI program. In fact, this very critical meeting preceded the visa-free travel ban for Dominican citizens, and according to sources in the UK, it was a meeting for which the rookie Minister of Agriculture was ill-equipped and clueless, understandably so. We in the Bouillon era, why not digress a bit? Absent at that critical meeting were the senior government officials and relevant players within the CBI program, like the then director of the CBI program, money-washing junkie Emmanuel Nanthan, the PM himself, Sauce Roosevelt Skerritt, Flag in the Wind Minister of Finance Irvin McIntyre, Slick Alec, who had been touted in CBI sales pitches as the prolific CBI attorney and most experienced CBI advisor in the entire region, was also absent. Vince Henderson, with his so-called diplomatic resume and international negotiating experience, was conveniently a no-show. We do understand, though, that with Vince's alleged internationally designated money launderer tag, it would have been an affront to the UK and EU officials for Vince to be present at a meeting to examining CBI program racketeering. We are also aware that Vince Henderson has allegedly become persona non grata with the sauce and his CEO Anthony Hayden after Vince expressed his disapproval of the offshore treasury arrangements between Sauce and Anthony Hayden. In jest, our DLP sources have noted that since Anthony Hayden seemed to be making major financial decisions for and on behalf of the government of Dominica, he would certainly not approve of the expenses for Vince's travel to the UK. Coco my gwage hazier nies away. MITC is packaging a very convoluted report on racketeering and corruption involving an equipment storage yard adjacent to the Purple Turtle Beach in Portsmouth. A $18 million unpaid bill, disappearance of vehicles, buses, equipment, and much more. Tick, 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 tick. Warning to Joseph Isaac. We use the term passport selling gig because that's exactly what the CBI program is about. The disgraceful Speaker of the House, Joseph Isaac, may want to think twice about attacking MITC, as we have the goods on his alleged $25,000 building material debt and allegedly silly ploys to evade his creditors. Garky, you rolling with the big dogs now. Go pay your bills, Joseph Isaac. We are one key away from releasing the details.